Sometimes when the IRS audits, the IRS makes mistakes. A lot of mistakes. And also maybe you or your tax professional wasn't perfect either, and now you have a tax and penalty bill resulting from an audit that's so large you're not quite sure what to do. Well, you're going to want to watch this video until the end, as there could be some good news for you. Hi, I'm tax attorney Anthony Parent, and for the last 20 years, my team has helped thousands of people find some semblance of relief from the IRS. And we have used the IRS Audit Reconsideration process extensively to eliminate tax bills our clients don't actually owe. So in this video, I want to explain to you when you could take advantage of the Audit Reconsideration process. I gotta say this. The audit reconsideration process is an overlooked solution. Many times when people get a huge tax bill, they think to file an offer in compromise to settle it. Now look, an offer in compromise can be a great solution, but in order to qualify, you need to show that paying the debt in full is a hardship for you. The thing is, too many people make too much money or have too much equity in their home to qualify for an offer in compromise. So the entire offer and compromise process could be a waste of their time. So this is what I'll say. Before you jump into trying to negotiate down a tax debt, shouldn't you figure out if you owe the tax bill in the first place? And that is what the IRS Audit Reconsideration process is intended to do, to make sure that you are only paying the IRS for tax bills that you actually owe under the law. Okay, so how do you qualify? The first qualification is that you need to have been audited. Your exam could have been done by mail or in person, or if you didn't file tax returns, the IRS could prepare them for you using their substitute filed return process. Any of these three things happen, you have been audited, thus you can potentially seek an audit reconsideration. But more is required. You need to have a reason that you qualify. One big way to qualify is if you have new information or documentation that wasn't presented during the original audit. And here's an example. We had one client, Rick. He was audited by the IRS, and because he was missing complete business records, he didn't know how to respond. So he ignored the IRS and then was hit by a huge IRS tax bill. Rick's paralysis and uncertainty is what caused him not to respond to the audit. Rick's problem was that he was missing records and wasn't sure what to do. Well, we're experienced in such situations, so we were able to compile an accurate and profit and loss statement, even though there were a lot of missing records. So we submitted Rick's audit reconsideration, a little bit of back and forth with the IRS. The IRS agreed to our client's version of his tax bill. And like many of our clients, he under-deducted to avoid an audit. So when he was audited, we presented our figures. We included all his deductions, which actually resulted in the IRS owing Rick money. Now, a second way you may qualify for audit reconsideration is if you never received notice of the audit. I tell you this because post-COVID, this is really common. The COVID pandemic has uprooted typical patterns of life, and many taxpayers have found themselves living in odd situations where they don't always get their mail. And the IRS itself is not necessarily as trained as they used to be. Now, a third way to get an audit reconsideration is if you discover the IRS made a math or processing error. Well, there you could be entitled to audit reconsideration. A fourth way, and an incredibly common way to get to an audit reconsideration, is when the IRS has filed a return on your behalf using that substitute filed return process I mentioned before. When you file your actual returns to replace an SFR, that is technically an audit reconsideration. Now, how about situations where you don't qualify? Well, here, if you already paid the tax or there's a court decision, you don't qualify. However, if there's not a court decision and you paid it, you still may be able to get relief by filing amended returns to claim that refund that you are entitled to. Now, moving on, here's the step-by-step process to request an audit reconsideration. First, you're going to want to go over the examination report or tax returns the IRS generated to identify disputed items that you have. If you didn't get the audit report, which is more and more common, you can request it from the IRS using the Freedom of Information Act procedures. However, expect delays of over 12 months to get your report. The IRS is really backed up post-COVID. Then you're going to want to compile your audit report. You'll create a profit and loss statement or financial reports using your best efforts. Third, you'll create tax returns and properly document your expenses. If documents are missing, explain your methodology on how you arrived at your figures. Fourth, then submit your request to the IRS. It is usually sent to the IRS campus that conducted your audit. If your submission is solid, you may never need to discuss your audit reconsideration with the IRS. However, if it's incomplete or the IRS doesn't quite understand what you sent, for whatever reasons, you can expect an IRS agent to reach out to you. Okay, so let's get to some common questions on the audit reconsideration process. First one is, how long is this going to take? Well, before COVID, it was typically around 30 days before we would get a response. Now it may be several months to hear back from the IRS, so the answer is at least a year. The next most common question is, what if I'm missing records? Here's the thing, we've been able to reconstruct books for our clients using estimates and even industry averages when complete records are missing. Trust me, there is a way. The next question is, can I appeal this reconsideration if it's denied? The answer is yes. You can likely request a conference with the IRS Office of Appeals if it's denied, or you can pay the tax and file a claim for refund. Next question is, are collection activities suspended? Well, technically, the IRS is not required to suspend collections, but often does, but you want to make sure you have a collection hold in place while your audit reconsideration is pending. The audit reconsideration process can seem like a miracle to those saddled with a tax debt that seems insurmountable. Hopefully this video provided you some clarity so you aren't forced into making a bad decision. Please share your IRS experiences or ask your questions in the comments below. Or if you need high-powered help, go to irsmedic.com/audit to book a time to speak with us about your situation. This is Anthony Parent of IRSMedic. Thanks for watching and subscribe to this channel to help support us.